Right now, we're standing by for an update on that deadly shooting in central Kansas.
Let's listen in right now in Newton.
5 o'clock, 911 took a call of a shooting victim located here. This will be the first one, which is at about Meridian and 12th, in that area. A man driving with his 2 children was shot. He got shot in the shoulder. A second car coming this way was also shot at. She did not get hit. A miracle. It just missed her, went through the windshield. Officers responded. Newton PD, sheriff's officers responded within 3 minutes, working that. As they're there, another report comes in over here at number 2, which is about the old 81 and 36, close to the Meridian. Report is another person is shot. What happened at this location is the shooter went head-on to the oncoming traffic. Both vehicles went off into the ditch. The shooter was getting out of his car, the driver getting out of his car, and the shooter shoots that driver. The shooter then takes that victim's car, travels on up here to where Excel is. Once he gets to Excel, he goes to the northeast section of the building, exits, and shoots an individual who was in the parking lot. He then enters the doors at the northeast corner of the building and goes inside. The sheriff's deputy pulls up in the parking lot and reports that he's being fired upon. The deputy was not hurt. The shooter then goes into the building and at that point shoots 14 more people. 3 of those were fatalities. A Hesston police officer responds, goes into where the shooting's occurring, and meets the shooter towards the front office area of Excel. They exchange fire. The Hesston police officer shoots and kills, and this is his name, Cedric Larry Keith Ford, 38-year-old man. Cedric was armed with an assault rifle, an automatic pistol. Mr. Ford, who was residing in Newton, Kansas, had been served a PFA, that's a protection order, at 3:30 that afternoon. 3:30 he gets served, 5 o'clock we have the first shooting. Currently, we have 14 people in various hospitals, Newton Medical Center, Wesley, and St. Francis. Those conditions range from stable to critical, and one going into surgery as we speak. Involved in this operation is a number of agencies. KBI currently is doing the crime scene investigation of Excel. FBI is here doing numerous interviews. ATF is here to help us with the guns and weapons. Again, this is a tragic event for the city of Hesston, Harvey County. We're going to get through this. We're going to do it right. We're going to make sure this investigation is concluded. We have jobs to do. People have been tasked to do their jobs. They're going to do their jobs. And then we'll take care of ourselves later. With that,
I'm Paul Mullett, CEO of Excel, and I've got a statement I'd like to read, and I have copies for everyone. Excel family is deeply saddened by the horrific event that occurred yesterday. Our hearts go out to our employees and their families who are enduring this tragedy. Our first priority has been and will remain the safety and wellness of our employees. We are fully cooperating with the law enforcement agencies and the Red Cross. Our internal teams are fully engaged in crisis management. We are thankful for all the support we are receiving during this very difficult situation. Thank you for your concern. That's all I have at this time.
Notification has been made for all those that have been deceased. Those names will be released later when I get the final coroner's report. That could be the end of today or first of tomorrow. With that, I would take questions at this time.
Can you go into the protection order a little bit more, what that involves?
Protection from abuse order are made usually because you're in a relationship where there's been some kind of violent occurrence and a party files those particular orders.
And was this person known as Cedric, known to the police, known to the sheriff's office? Was he known? Did he have a record? Did he have past?
Cedric?
Mhm.
Yes.
Can you go into that?
All I can say is he's been in my jail a couple of times before.
Do you know how he was able to get those weapons,
I do not.
given that he has a criminal history?
At this point, I don't. We're only about 15 hours into this investigation. There's a lot of those questions, and we want to find those answers, and we hope to.
Was he served at the plant?
She was.
He
He was.
With the
The protection from abuse order.
At that point, did he leave the facility?
Yes.
Did the person who filed the order work at that plant?
No.
Can you go into detail into what was in the protection order?
No.
Sheriff, how much ammunition did he have with him?
I do not know.
But he had the assault rifle and
Yes.
the pistol. Was he, we were told he emptied the assault rifle and was preparing to use the pistol. Is that incorrect or correct?
I don't know at this time.
As a result of a protection order, are weapons confiscated from an individual or any other protocol other than serving the individual with the
No, they just get served with the order.
Was he targeting specific people at the business?
He was not. He was randomly shooting people.
Sheriff, I know you said that you were investigating how he obtained the weapons. Is it your belief that he had the weapons legally? Was he allowed to have the weapons, or was it illegal for him to possess them?
ATF is working on that right now. We're conducting traces of the weapons themselves. We're also doing an investigation of how he got those weapons. Of course, a big part of that's going to be who purchased them, but that part of the investigation is just a few hours old, and it'll take more time before we have those answers. But that's what we're seeking right now.
You know,
What
Ford
about
said
the
anything
quantity
to
of
the victims
ammunition?
before he shot them? You know, Ford said anything to the victims before he shot them?
I'm not aware he said a thing.
Were you aware it was Ford when the first two incidences were reported?
No.
So you had only a description of a car and that was it?
Correct.
You were not aware that he was going to the Excel plant?
No.
Can you get into a little more detail into when the times of the three different shootings were, or the three different locations, and the distance between them?
We're looking at about 6 miles from point 1 to point 3. It's about a 6-mile trip. By the time Cedric is shot and killed, it's about 5:24. So there's about a 24-minute lapse from when the first call comes out here at number 1 to the time he's put down at number 3.
When the officers served him that PFA, did they say anything how he acted when they handed him that order?
Yes, they said he was upset, but nothing greater than anybody else who gets served a PFA.
What about
Sheriff,
his
do you
work
know how many
history? Was
shots
he
were
considered a
fired?
good employee, a bad employee? Did he have disciplinary problems at work?
I do not know that.
We were hearing
Sheriff, do
from
you know how
people
many
that,
shots were fired?
this was coming weeks in advance. Employees told us they were expecting a shooting to happen. Have you heard anything from that, from witnesses, anything back to that?
I have not.
Can you release the name of the officer that you're claiming?
Not yet. In Kansas, because an officer shoots somebody, that becomes a separate investigation, officer-involved shooting. So that process needs to take place. I'm sure that name will be released as we go along, because that particular officer is the hero out of all this. Understand, there's probably 200 or 300 more people in that building while this is going on. This man was not going to stop shooting. The only reason he stopped shooting is because that officer stopped the shooter.
Is the KPI handling the investigation on the shooting?
Yes.
And Sheriff, can you tell us what was recovered at his apartment?
Any other evidence was recovered?
I got two different things
Yeah, well,
going
I
on.
think we're both asking the same question. Can you tell us about the evidence that was recovered at his home overnight, and also what about the roommate?
As we're dealing with this, we discover where his residence was, and that was here in Newton in a mobile home. So the Newton police went over to the home. They heard loud music. They knocked on the door and couldn't get in. There was some communication going back and forth that possibly there was a roommate inside the mobile home but wasn't letting the police enter. So the emergency response team or SWAT team went inside. They didn't find anybody else inside that home.
What was recovered? What type of evidence, and are you looking for a roommate, looking for his roommate, if he has one?
Currently, that I'm not aware of. They may have found him. I don't know. I don't know that.
Lots of reports of AK-47. Was he firing 7.62 caliber?
That's all. Until we get further into the investigation involving where those guns came from and how he obtained them, we're not going to release that information. We'll be able to release it down the road, but we're not going to release it yet.
Sheriff, did you
Talk
leave a
talk
note
about the
he had?
hospital for just a moment and the situation that occurred there. Was that related to this? And how much can you elaborate on what was going on at NMC?
What we were told was that Newton Medical Center went into shutdown after the police arrived at the wagon wheel address. We didn't request that. Newton Medical Center did that on their own. You'd have to address that with Newton Medical Center as to why. I'd also like to add this. Sergeant Carter here arrived on that scene in a pickup truck. And when he got there, one man was shot in the parking lot. Him and along with the EMT actually loaded that victim up in his pickup truck to get him help. He's another hero.
First name? Chris, C-H-R-I-S. Thanks, Chris.
Where was that PFA served?
Where?
Where?
It was served at Excel.
Sheriff, did he leave a note explaining anything?
I'm not aware of any notes.
Do you know why he went to Excel?
He worked there.
Sheriff, do you have a sense about why he went into the second car? Was he evading? Was he trying to? What was your sense of the second vehicle?
I do not know.
Sheriff, would you mind if we hear from Sergeant Carter of what he saw when he arrived at the scene?
Yeah, I had actually just gotten off duty less than an hour before that when I was notified about what was going on. Being a small town, we were down a patrol car, so I responded in my personal vehicle. I arrived on scene, and there were still people exiting the building, I assisted in partially securing or clearing the building for any other suspects. After that, then I went into help with the recovery mode. There's lots of employees trying to direct us and steer us, so they were very helpful on getting us to where patients were. And the particular one that he spoke of was on that northeast side where the shooter entered, and so they directed us there. And we just made a decision to get him to help because we were having some logistical trouble getting help to him from where he was at. You are with HPD? I'm with Hesston PD, yes, I'm sorry, Hesston PD.
You said your first name was Chris?
Chris, C-H-R-I-S.
When you got there, were there still shots being fired?
No, sir, that was over.
What was it like to walk into that building?
Overwhelming, but we're on autopilot. We train for these. Doesn't mean you're prepared, for what you see, but you go on autopilot and we just do what we're trained to do.
Can you describe what you saw when you went in?
I'd rather not get into that right now, I'm sorry, but down the road, maybe that kind of information will come out.
What were some of the workers telling you as they're either running or asking for help, or what was the...
Really, they were just kind of steering us towards victims and kind of getting us to where we needed to go. The ambulances were all staged out on the road, and we had victims that had probably exited the building that were out in the parking lot, and so we just needed to get them to help. So They weren't really telling us information other than, hey, I've got a victim over here, can you guys get them help? And so we connected those
Did you
people.
know any of the workers?
I'm sorry?
Did you know anyone in there? Any friends or family that you knew was inside?
Yes, I have family that works there.
So what crossed your mind when you're running into the scene and you know that your family?
What crossed my mind is finding the bad guy. That's it. Protecting everybody else that was still there. Like Sheriff Walton said, we still had several hundred people that are potential victims on scene until we make sure we've taken care of that. So,
Sergeant, the sheriff just called you hero. Have you been able to process that?
no, you know, I don't know. We do our job. We do our job. That's it. That's all I did.
Give us any more details about that protection order when he got it. You said he was upset. What do you mean? What did he say? What did he mean?
It's normal when someone gets served a protection from abuse order to be upset. That's just normal. He didn't display anything that was outrageous. He just displayed, I was a little upset that he was getting this order.
Are you looking at this, though, as a trigger to this incident?
Yes, I am.
Which agency served that PFA and who issued it?
The Harvey County Sheriff's Office served it. It was issued out of Wichita.
And when did investigators finally enter the building, or have they?
I don't know that timeline. My understanding is they
started on the outside of the
No, I meant
building.
the investigators. Are they in the building right now, or did they enter the building overnight to start the investigation and everything was clear?
Yeah, they did enter the building.
So they're in there now?
Yes.
You said he was gonna keep shooting if he wasn't stopped. What kind of ammunition are we talking about? Was he well prepared to keep going?
Again, I'll refer that over to ATF.
Well, at this point, I don't know that we have an answer to that until they process the crime scene and determine what he had with him. You know, that's information I don't have yet, but we'll certainly work on getting it for you.
Can you explain the process that you're going to go through step by step once you enter, once ATF enters, or the Sheriff's Department, KBI, what the process you go through to start putting all this information together, gathering all the data you need and everything to try to come to?
A lot of photographs need to be taken, things need to be documented. All of that takes place. That's a normal crime scene investigation. There are a lot of interviews that need to take place, a lot of interviews.
Are they still doing those at Hesston High School then today?
They're happening all over the place. So that's taking place. There are interviews in Wichita. That's taking place. There'll be, like I said, a lot of them. We want to piece together the full story, what happened, and that's going to take some time.
Sheriff, one last question, Sheriff. Let me ask you. You said you never think it's going to happen here in this small community, and it happened. And in all your years, have you ever seen anything like this? And do you feel that your people were prepared?
And all the time, I've been here for 28 years, as sheriff for 8 years. No, I've never seen anything like this. As far as we don't think it's ever going to happen here, well, isn't that what every sheriff says that's stuck up on a podium like I am now? But it does, and it's happened here. I wish I wasn't the sheriff in front of these cameras, but it has happened here.
Sure, agencies have active shooter training?
Yes.
And what does that say, and you know, did the officer follow that, and what does that say about?
As a matter of fact, we do, and just last week we had a large meeting to discuss active shooters throughout industry, schools, courts. Just last week we had that. We have a very good system for a command center. It ran just as we've practiced. You've got to have coordination. We've got over 100 officers involved in this, so all of that has to be documented as to what everyone is doing. It's all taking place.
So the officer that went in, did he go in by himself or did he go in as a team?
His relationships. Did he have a romantic relationship? Did he have friends? Did he have children? You know, the scene
all those questions are what we're digging into. Understand, again, we're only about 15 hours into this, so we need some time.
Sir, did he go in as a team or did he go in by himself?
He went in by himself.
And what does that say about procedures with the active training and his hero?
Oh, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the officer who...
The hero, the cop, you're kind of hero. What can you tell us about him?
We had other officers there that were on the outside. He went in. Again, he had to stop that threat. You've got 200 or 300 people in there. Luckily, 200 or 300 people came out. So he did what he needed to do. With that, I'm finishing up today. We'll keep you advised as to what we have. In the back, we have the pictures of Cedric. You can get that. We have a press release. You can get that.
Spellings of names are on the back whiteboard.
Okay.
911 tapes, do you have those available?
What's that?
Do you have anything on the 911 tapes? Are they available?
We will have those. We don't have them quite yet.
Very good, thank you.
We've been listening to the Harvey County Sheriff talk about the shootings yesterday in Hesston and Newton, Kansas. Some of the things we've learned, they officially identified Cedric Ford, 38 years old, as the shooter, armed with an assault rifle and automatic pistol. The ATF now investigating those weapons, and 14 people in various hospitals. We learned they are from stable to critical condition. One headed to surgery right now.
That's right. He, as you heard the sheriff say, that they had served a protection from abuse order to Cedric Ford yesterday afternoon at his job at Excel Industries there in Harvey County. And then just hours later, 2 hours later, is when the shooting started. And the sheriff also told us that one of the new parts today that we learned is that a Hesston police officer shot and killed Ford during the shooting.
Let's get to 41 Action News anchor Jane Monreal. She's